We're speaking with the mayor of Burlington today about a range of city issues, starting with her proposed $106.6 million budget for the 2026 fiscal year. Emma Mulvaney-Stanek and her team have had a series of large budget gaps to close, work made more difficult by a last-minute error in calculating commercial property taxes. The mayor calls the process a series of shared sacrifices involving layoffs, cuts to vacant positions, new revenues from consumption taxes, new fees on Uber and Lyft rides from the airport, and changes like calling for only 8 new police officers to be hired instead of an expected 10. Mulvaney-Stanek is also foregoing a pay raise. Property taxes are expected to go up only $100 a year for a $500,000 home, she says, adding that should be offset by savings on education taxes.
Burlington has become, for the last several years, really unaffordable for most people. Our rents are going through the roof. People are having an inability to find housing they can afford, especially if they have to finance with a mortgage. And for us to actually turn things in a different direction requires deeper, more thorough work on our budget. And that's how we build the budget. It's what we prioritize in the budget. And it's also what we ultimately decide to charge property taxpayers or not. So in this fiscal year 26 budget we've been working on, my charge to staff and department heads was to make sure that we deliver a minimal municipal budget increase, meaning the property tax increase to residents. And we worked really hard to try to keep that as minimal as possible. In that scenario with a $500,000 house, most people are going to see a decrease of $200 to $300 a year on their property tax bill. I'm quite proud of that because that took a lot of hard work that included layoffs in our budget to right size how much we're asking folks to support for city government. And at the end of the day, we're starting to turn the ship of Burlington into a more affordable path for residents.
So are additional layoffs of existing employees now off the table, not needed?
Correct. For fiscal year 26, there'll be no more layoffs at all.
Last week, there was this ceremonial move to rename Church Street as Canada Street. That's very obviously a move to increase revenues in the form of telling our Canadian visitors, especially in the key summer season, you are welcome here, please come visit us. Are there any other sort of pro-traveler initiatives like that you're contemplating for the key summer months?
Part of this is around making sure that we are visible and inviting and engaging to our neighbors to the north, but to all folks, so visitors even from other parts of the world, right? We want to make sure that what is coming out of the federal government, people know that doesn't speak for Vermont. And Vermont's economy in general, as a state, really relies on tourism for a big portion of the revenue raised on the state level. So in terms of other affirming things, we've long had Love Burlington, which is a marketing campaign to really highlight all the great local businesses that exist in our downtown, as well as all the exciting events that we continue to bring online to give that kind of activation and that vibrancy in our center city. There's pretty much programming all the time in City Hall Park, especially now in the warmer months of the summer. We have festivals on the marketplace. We have events on the waterfront. So we're really trying to activate all the parts of the city. And the other reason I'm highlighting that is not just for the benefit of tourists and visitors, but for locals here in Burlington as well as Vermont. Burlington, we're investing in the well-being of our community, and part of the ways that we do that best is when we all support local business and we support local downtowns. And so I invite folks who might be viewers of this show to realize part of this is about them also helping Burlington by coming downtown and checking us out. It's a different vibe than it was even 6-8 months ago. The strong partnership I have with Chief Burke, our new police chief, as well as folks really working on the health and well-being of downtown, it feels different, and we're slowly moving the needle. And part of what will help is people taking up that space as community.
Whether it's fair or not, there is a public perception issue in Burlington. People think it's just not as pleasant as it was 10 years ago. How do you receive that criticism? Because I know you hear it too. And how does it inspire in you a need to act to achieve the goals that you've laid out?
The realities of not only Burlington, but Rutland, Barrie, all of Vermont, and many cities across America has really dramatically changed in the last 5 to 10 years. Everywhere people are struggling with a homelessness crisis. Everywhere people are dealing with people who are living with untreated mental health that is sort of playing itself out in big public spaces. And everywhere, sadly, people are also struggling with a crisis on opioids. The substance use disorder rates are through the roof, not only in Burlington, but elsewhere. And so what we're really trying to grapple with is a lot of complex challenges all at the same time. And so that takes time. It took time for this to develop to the level that it's developed. And it's taking us time to figure out solutions that are sustainable and innovative to help bring things into a place that's healthier and better for just everyone's well-being. So in July, we'll be launching one of those first tangible pilots called the Situation Table. And this is a concept that is not unique to Burlington. It started in Canada, and now about several dozen cities across the United States implement this strategy, including 4 other towns in Vermont already. And essentially, it's a highly organized, intensive intervention system, if you will, around people who have a high risk in your community. Because we know when we look at the data for police incidences, for example, there is a disproportionately high number of those incidences that are really, you can trace back to the same 20 to 25 people. If you talk to any police officer, they know exactly who are the people that are the frequent flyers, the people that they're constantly engaging with, and nothing seems to be changing. And so what this does is the right providers come to the table, the right partners come to the table to relentlessly work on that individual in a way that helps to move them out of such a high risk situation. And that brings not only that person into a better supportive space, but it takes the immense amount of resources the city is providing to try to sort of deal with all the symptoms, to do something a little bit more foundational to support that person. It's had wild success in Springfield, Vermont, and Bennington, Vermont, and Brattleboro, and I'm very hopeful that this will start to help some of the people who are the most at risk in the city of Burlington. And that's just one example that we've been really working on to tangibly start putting different tools on the table. The other very tangible thing I mentioned before, I really invite people to come to Burlington because the new chief of police, Sean Burke, has been immensely helpful around repurposing and reallocating our existing officers and our existing staff in smart, innovative ways that work with what we have right now as we work to rebuild the department, to bring on the officer count that we need, as well as utilizing other staff within the Burlington Police Department. So what you'll see is we're starting to return to community-based policing. Officers are out of the vehicles. You will come down on Church Street and walk through City Hall Park, and you will most likely bump into an officer walking the beat, engaging with people, de-escalating situations, starting to interrupt things that have sort of been allowed to sort of spin a little bit out of control because accountability has been a very hard thing to get our police department in the past working in tandem and in partnership with the state's attorney's office. And so we are shifting that. We have moved relationships into a more partnered way. We're also going to bring on a new thing called City Circle, which is essentially going to be a weekly convening, I guess, of folks who violated a municipal ordinance and have gotten a ticket. But usually what happens is that ticket then gets sent into the administrative court system, which is severely backlogged, and then it sits for months sometimes with no accountability. So of course people feel like they can do anything. And so what we're going to do as a city, because we're allowed to do this through legal review, is to hold our own convening of folks that you will have to report on X date. We'll do it at the same time every week. And you have 2 choices, because restorative justice is an important principle in Burlington. You can take a restorative pathway where you can use our Community Justice Center as a path to be held accountable, but to remedy your harm. Or if you say no or you don't show up, you'll go into the court system, but we're going to pivot into the criminal court system, which has a different pathway, and working with State's Attorney Sarah George to hold people accountable in a more timely fashion than administrative court, which is where municipal tickets usually went to kind of just sit and wither on the vine. This is a more impactful and I think more immediate way to hold people accountable. It is complicated, but that doesn't mean there isn't vibrant and good and positive things happening in the city while we work to fix these other pieces. I encourage people to buy local and support local businesses, and to also take part in all of our wonderful events that we have, especially during this most beautiful time in Burlington. The lake is still sparkly. We still have these great, wonderful events where community convenes. It's going to be a really wonderful time to just remind people that when we come together as a community, that is one of the most vibrant and important things about being a Vermonter.
I think there's a lot of optimism downtown that doesn't get talked about. I'm referring specifically to the City Place project. I think that has a lot of people excited, but in the short term, the businesses are really screaming for help, whether it's because of the Main Street construction or some of the impacts to foot traffic. How do you as a leader get people to get through this moment, this rebuilding moment, with sort of optimism in their hearts?
Well, it is definitely a hard time, especially for downtown businesses for a number of reasons. Some are still trying to recover from COVID. Others are really struggling with some of just the economic downturn that is much larger than Burlington. When people buy online, that negatively impacts local businesses. When you choose to go to Amazon versus coming downtown to buy whatever that kitchen item is, that's a negative dig against our local economy, and all those taxes I was talking about before. It doesn't help our local government raise the revenue we need to finish big projects, for example. So it's all intertwined and interdependent as we think about how we spend our money. And then also pieces of what people don't see necessarily that are slowly coming online, as you mentioned. I'm sort of referring to this as there's a renaissance coming from Burlington, and it's because several folks are already deeply invested in Burlington starting to become a different, vibrant hub where folks can live downtown and work downtown. Just how people work today in general has changed in the last 4 to 5 years, and so now we're starting to reactivate our space differently. And City Place is a perfect example of it. The South Tower. If you haven't again been to Burlington lately, there's a whole new tower, several stories high now, which will be one of the tallest buildings in the center of the city, that will be half of a hotel and half high-end and eventually affordable units in the North Tower, but 50 or so more housing units in the downtown center. And that brings people permanently, because they'll live downtown. It brings a new hotel, a new restaurant that activates that portion of what used to be what we called the pit for a long time, right? Another part in the old YMCA close to the library has long been sat as a building that looks vacant and graffiti ridden. Again, they are now finished internal work and are starting to knock down parts of the building to be able to, not the whole building, but the old pool portion of the building, to make that a new housing development that will be 75 to 100 more units. Inclusionary zoning, meaning the affordable units will be in that building. And that's more people living downtown, and that is slated to come online, I think, at the end of 2026. And I can go on because there's more housing available over that's being built for veterans to access affordable housing on the other side of the center city. And so there's a lot of things popping up and starting to come online in the next 12 to 18 months, which is very exciting. And it also will just change the vibe of the downtown because more people will be there. Now to Main Street, that is a massive project. It is a massive project that was well underway before I became mayor. Businesses are highly impacted by this. So we've been trying to mitigate in a lot of ways, looking at other communities that have had also large construction projects. How do we think about smart marketing, signage? But it's been a big, long project. So now we're really investigating how do we figure out how to reopen lanes possibly earlier than anticipated. But that's the work that we're underway right now because we understand and have heard from businesses that they're really hurting. So we're trying to work as good partners because we hear people loud and clear that this has been highly impactful.
Burlington is going to look very different in several years' time.
When I think about what it looks like, it's more vibrancy in the downtown because people are changing their relationship to downtown. It's a place you can live, it's a place you can play, it's a place you can work, but it's also a place that everybody feels welcome to be and to exist. I also think that we have to better utilize some of our space and really think about densifying and infilling. Part of what we are really starting to implement with more gusto now is the neighborhood code. This is a rewrite of our entire zoning ordinance to allow more housing to be developed in small and larger scales depending on where it is in the city so that we can really meet our critical housing goals. We have to build something like 7,000 new units over the next 25 years. Burlington on average adds 75 to 100 per year in the past. So that acceleration is going to require us to really envision a Burlington that looks different. There'll be more density in terms of housing, but that also brings more people, more community, and I hope more diversity as well. When we send the right message that we are truly an inclusive community, that hopefully helps to attract all the best and brightest of what a diverse community means, whether it's based on race, gender, or otherwise. I want to make sure that people feel like this is a community that they can call home.
And it attracts more revenues for your budget challenges.
Back to the budget, always back to the budget, yeah.
The City Council still has to vote on that proposed budget. Burlington's new fiscal year starts July 1st.